It means the Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. Don't break the commissioner. The Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. And if you're following along here, it has happened. 2 offensive linemen went. It wasn't the 4 quarterbacks and 3 wide receivers. It was 3 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers, and 2 offensive linemen, which means Rome Odunze has fallen. The Falcons have put in a lot of work on Michael Penix. They did not work out Rome Odunze when they did the private workout with Michael Penix. It makes sense. What makes sense to me the most is a trade back. Here it is. Nick, there seems to be this synergy with the Denver Broncos and Atlanta Falcons since we started working together.
Yeah.
The Broncos are going to trade up to number 8 and take J.J. McCarthy.
Well, Scott, if it is what I think it is, I'm going to be curious about your reaction here. But it sounds like the Falcons pick is in, and it's a wow, man. It sounds like it is going to be Michael Penix.
Oh, there's just no way.
That's what it sounds like now.
There's just no way.
That is pretty shocking.
You know why I don't speak in absolutes? This is why. This is why I don't speak in absolutes. Michael Penix at number 8.
With McCarthy on the board still, too.
Are you trading back? Is it because you're working out a deal with the Raiders?
No, it's going to be Michael Penix here. Had an unbelievable year with the Washington Huskies, has been great in the pre-draft process, was probably the best arm talent quarterback in this class besides Joe Milton, can sling it around. I guess his medicals came back clear, and there'd been a lot of talk about Michael Penix here recently, but you really, I wonder how Kirk Cousins' camp is feeling right now about this, but you definitely have one of the more talented and interesting quarterback rooms in football. And it's one of those things I talked about on the show on Wednesday, Scott, that right now it seems like chaos and crazy, but maybe 5 years from now, you're like, wow, we're really happy that we got that guy. But yeah, this is a pretty crazy pick, in my opinion, if it is indeed, from what I'm seeing, it hasn't been announced on my feed, but I've seen it other places, it being Michael Penix. So this is this is probably the craziest one so far.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. Again, I've said I like Michael Penix. I've said that, when I watched Michael Penix and Bo Nix, to me it was obvious which one was the NFL guy. 24-year-old quarterback with balky shoulders, balky knees. You just got a 36-year-old quarterback that you're giving $25 million to this year and $42 million next year. Your window is open. You've got edge rushers all over the board. You've got a premium wide receiver on the board. You've got a hole at cornerback. And you're going to take a quarterback at 8. Again, I mentioned just a few minutes ago, would the Falcons have signed Kirk Cousins if they thought J.J. McCarthy was going to be available? If they thought, well, now Michael Penix was going to be available? No. You don't sign Kirk Cousins if you're drafting a quarterback at 8. You don't draft a quarterback at 8 if you sign Kirk Cousins. It doesn't make any sense. Holy cow, I've got an eyelash in my eye. Apologies. I'm not crying. I don't care that much about it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you go tight end in year 1. You go one of the first pass catchers in year 2 after like 5 go off the board when you could trade down. You go running back in year 3. And now you go quarterback, the 4th quarterback at 8 after just spending your money on a free agent quarterback. That's insanity. That's insanity. Here, so the pick is in. I got to scroll all the way down here. Keep going. I got to keep going.
No, you passed him.
Did I?
There he is.
Where?
Down, Washington logo. Right after the Bo Nix. They're back to back.
I got to scroll all the way down to take Michael Penix. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and good comments in the chat.
Insanity.
Good comments in the chat here.
Oh my God, that's insanity. There's a lot of people jumping over here to see what you're saying. Now, I saw a question in here. I'm going to answer this one first. Greg Elrod says, could it be that Cousins might not be ready for week 1? Is this health not what we've been told? It doesn't matter. A rookie's not ready for week 1. You're not going out there with a rookie quarterback in week 1 in order to start your playoff run. He's a rookie. It doesn't matter. If Kirk Cousins isn't ready for week 1, a rookie quarterback doesn't help you.
And it's not even like he's young.
I said that whatever they did couldn't surprise me. I was wrong.
Crazy.
This is shocking. This is absolutely shocking. Stunning. Now, is it just me? I don't think I'm alone. I don't think I'm alone on this, Nick. I like Michael Penix, but this is an insanity pick.
It is a lot, and the Bears running to the podium right now. Their pick's already in. This has got to be a
They took Roma Dunze.
It's got to be Roma
Couldn't
Dunze.
believe their luck.
Yeah, that was a quick. They did not use the full clock.
I still think there's got to be a trade coming. I'm not convinced that there's not a trade coming with the Raiders.
Yeah. I mean, the board's just fallen. Minnesota might have McCarthy fall right into the lap. Wouldn't be crazy if they took Bo Nix then. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. 4 quarterbacks off the board. The Falcons go with him. Adam Schefter tweets out that Raheem Morris absolutely loved Michael Penix. Yeah, it's a pretty shocking pick here. The thing that, and chat's really good at this too, for pointing this out, but Michael Penix is going to be 24 years old, and you're probably hopefully only to start him 3 years from now, right? 2 years from now. So he's going to be 26, 27 years old by the time he takes the reins. So yeah, it's a pretty crazy pick. Now, I don't want to just be totally negative here. Penix has a huge arm. Let's be real. He can throw it as well as anybody in this class in terms of velocity. And we got back-to-back Washington picks here. It is Odunze to the Bears. He had an unbelievable season, and a lot of teams fell in love with Michael Penix, the person, over the draft process. So I think this is pretty high for him. He looked like more of a general accuracy player. But yeah, if you hit on the quarterback, if he ends up being a franchise guy, Scott, we'll look back 5 years from now and be like, okay, it was worth it. But there's a lot of risk, and it doesn't really make sense with the Atlanta window, in my opinion, right now. I mean, you spent all that money for Kirk Cousins. Aren't you in the now?
Yep. And that's the thing. And again, why don't the Falcons have a pass rush? This is why. Oh, man. Again,
we have a trade.
I'm still not convinced there's no trade.
We have a trade now.
Okay.
But it's 10. Vikings coming up from 11 to 10. So they're securing the guy. This has got to be JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy.
Yep. So we have 10 for 11. I guess there's a chance it's Bo Nix.
Should we hang out till the Broncos go?
I mean, I should probably go over to MHH or those chat.
You're not supposed to. They're signing off after the Broncos pick. So should we stay here until 12 or the Broncos trade back? What do you think, chat? Because EJ says Falcons with the shocker in the top 10. And as several in the chat have said, we've turned Falcon into a verb and a noun and an adverb. They falconed this up. They're falconing again. And it's nothing against Michael Penix. Again, the medicals scare the hell out of me. You're talking about a 24-year-old quarterback who's had 4 season-ending injuries. That's enough for me to knock him out of the top 10. I wouldn't want him in the top 10, even if the Falcons didn't get Kirk Cousins. But the fact that you signed a 36-year-old quarterback and gave him $90 million guaranteed at 36 years old, your window's now. And if it's not now, then why'd you sign him? Then why did you sign him? If you wanted Michael Penix, what the hell did you sign Kirk Cousins for? That makes 0 sense. 0.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy to see that
EJ,
happen.
let me read your super brother. I certainly appreciate it. My phone's blowing up naturally. Falcons with the shock. I did read this. Is Terry Fontenot calling the shots? This has Rich McKay or Arthur Smith all over it. Should have been Rome Odunze or Brock Bowers or Dallas Turner or Terrion Arnold or Quinyon Mitchell or hell, Olufashanu, Byron Murphy. I could come up with 20 guys I would have taken before this pick. And I said there's really nothing they could do because I didn't think there was any way, anyhow, and I've said it for months, well, since they signed Kirk Cousins. There's no way. I didn't think they'd take one with the first 2 picks. That included the second round. No way. Absolutely no way. Denver Broncos fans that are in here, every once in a while you hear me call you spoiled, because you've won championships, you've had quarterbacks. This is what I mean. This is the kind of stuff Falcons fans have to deal with on the reg. Doing stuff like this that makes zero sense. 0 cents.
And we do have the compensation. We do have the compensation for the Jets trade. The Jets get 11, 129, and 157 for 10 and 203. And Scott, I think you probably know the pick for the Vikings here as well.
It's J.J. McCarthy.
Sounds like it's going to be J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah. I would have rather had J.J. McCarthy than Michael Penix, but I wouldn't have taken J.J. McCarthy at 8 after signing Kirk Cousins. I would not have gone quarterback. No way.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. But again, report Diamond Rattler says Raheem Morris loved Penix. I know in the moment it feels weird, but you might not have a chance to be up here again to take a quarterback. And if you adore him, this is putting your you-know-what on the chopping block here, where if Michael Penix doesn't work out down the line, you are fired. It is pretty.
It's not, though. I mean, it gives you a runway of like 5 years. How long do you know? I don't expect him to start until 2026. So how long do I have to figure out before he works out or not? Well, and the thing is, I don't want to hear the Jordan Love, but I want to cuss on this. I really do, but I'm not gonna because I really appreciate having I don't want to hear the Jordan Love crap. I don't want to hear it.
Fair.
Look at Jordan Love. We sat him for a decade, and then he came out really well as a first-year starter. Jordan Love in his 4th year in the NFL would have been better in the 4th year if he'd already played 3 seasons. Yeah, he was good in his first year, but his first year was his 4th year. His 4th year in the NFL would have been better if he'd already been playing. So putting these guys in and magically thinking they're all of a sudden going to become Jordan Love is insanity. That's insane. Jordan Love is good because he's good, not because he sat. Ugh. I really can't believe it. Smack my head. SMH is right, Chase. I cannot believe it. I really can't. I can't believe. I'm shocked.
It is crazy to see, without a doubt. Again, you might not be picking up here again. And if he ends up being a franchise quarterback, it's not going to matter. But
yeah, what's going to happen when Turner wins Rookie of the Year this year?
I think it'll probably be one of those defensive backs. I don't know. We'll see.
It's one of those, but I think that's one of those guys. Falcons fans, who did we watch this year? We watched Jalen Carter getting all the praise that he got this year. We were watching Jalen Carter. Year before, I was keeping an eye on Kyle Hamilton. That was who I wanted in that spot. And we kept an eye on Justin Fields. This year, it's going to be Dallas Turner. If Dallas Turner turns out to be Will Anderson or even close to it, it's going to be one of those things that comes up. I can carry a grudge. I was talking about Andre Bruce earlier. I still bitch about the Julio Jones trade. We can get into that later. Just the overpay there for a team that didn't need wide receiver. They needed defense. They needed a difference maker on defense, or several when you give up 5 picks. They better hope one of these defensive guys. What happens when Terrion Arnold becomes Sauce Gardner? Dallas Turner becomes Will Anderson. You pass on that guy to put a quarterback on the bench. It's insane. That's insanity.
Yeah, it is wild to me. It's again, maybe I'm just trying to balance out a little bit. It is a shocking pick for me. I think this is definitely more shocking than the Pitts pick because of just how things are set up. Long-term after you move Julio Jones kind of makes sense to kind of reset on that position. But yeah, we are going to find out here about Penix in, 3 years from now, right? But you definitely have a position. Maybe the Achilles isn't as good. Why would you sign him then? I don't know. I'm trying to find logic.
There isn't any. There isn't any logic for this move. It's completely 100% illogical other than He was the number one guy on our board, and we went with the best player available. BS. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean,
it's insane. And I'm reading through your chats, and I get it, y'all. The chat's pissed. There really isn't any justifying this move. There really isn't. There's just not. Not when you had Kirk. I mean, not when you signed Kirk Cousins. No. There's just not. I could have gone after one of the free agent edges then. And why did you can't sign Kirk Cousins and make this move. You just can't do it. You can't. And they did. They did. Goodness. Oh, yeah, the chat has blown up. That's for sure. I just I'm going through trying to find some comments on this for anybody that says, okay, well, this is why it makes sense. I mean, I do my best, Nick, to try and think of every possible scenario, and I can't come up with anything. Like I said, I rarely talk in absolutes. This is why. The minute you say there's no way that it's going to happen, it happens. I worship at the altar of Murphy's Law. You can't make this pick. You cannot make this pick.
What do we see now? Do we see a punter next round for the Falcons because they loved his personality or something? I don't know. He was at best the fifth quarterback on the board. I mean, he has a really good arm, and he tested well, and he probably the best throwing session of all the quarterbacks at the combine. It still is pretty shocking to me overall, but it's going to be interesting. We got Chris come in, says chat's going to be pissed no matter who the Falcons get. They drafted Dallas, and it becomes, there we go, not drafting from Georgia. Yeah, I mean,
it won't be universal, though. This is universal. This is unanimous. You're going to get discussions on both sides no matter what. Rusty doesn't want an edge. He wanted one of the wide receivers. There's people that wouldn't want one of the wide receivers because you've gone three skilled players. There isn't anybody that says this was the wise move. No one. There's no one. Because it's not. It's just not. If he turns out to be, that's how every pick is, Nick. I get that.
That's true.
If he turns out to be this, that goes for every pick ever made. If he turns out to be this, then it was worth it. Then what are we doing here, man? That I can say that for every single pick.
That's true, but I will say the quarterback.
If I took Joe Milton in the third, I could justify it the same exact way. This is a reach. This is a reach for Joe Milton because of his inconsistencies. But if he turns out to be great, then it was a great pick. Well, no shit.
Yeah, that's true. I think
it's a bad pick. It's a bad pick. Could turn out to be great. We know that. That's every pick.
Yeah.
This is a bad pick.
That's their own evaluation is different than ours. That's for sure. But we will see what happens here with the Vikings now on the clock. The Vikings pick is in. It's probably JJ McCarthy's what I've seen. I haven't seen it from Schefter or anybody else. Yep, there it is. JJ McCarthy going there. Vikings move up, and they don't give up very much. And also 10 picks in. Scott, we talked about it earlier, shifting off of we can come back to obviously Penix as well. But 10 picks in and 0 defensive players off the board. So, yep, there goes McCarthy to the Vikings. Good for him. That's probably the best fit. I guess actually Michael Penix goes to the best offensive infrastructure.
Robert Lee says I wouldn't have picked Penix at 8, but it's not the worst pick. A kicker or tight end would have been terrible. Robert, I promise you there'd be less belly aching about Brock Bowers. Getting picked here. And I would have had the same reaction if it was Bo Nix. I would have had a similar reaction to JJ McCarthy. It just doesn't make any sense. This isn't about Michael Penix so much, though. I said for my own evaluation, his medicals scare the crap out of me. He's 24 years old. He's had 2 season-ending knee injuries, and he's had shoulder injuries as well. That scares me enough to knock him down into the second. We took him in the second round yesterday in a mock. This is the same reaction I would have had for any of the 3 quarterbacks that could still go in the first round. Penix, McCarthy, Bo Nix. It just doesn't make any sense to drop $90 million on 2 years on a 36-year-old quarterback and draft the fourth quarterback. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't.
I don't get it either, but we'll see what happens. Fortunately for the Falcons, because of all the moves that you've made here.
I found him. I found the one. The one. He's happy for it. Screw you. McCarthy sucks. Bo Nix sucks. Penix is the best QB in the draft. That's why you guys aren't in the NFL. You guys are a joke. I found the guy. There has to be somebody. I mean, there's 2 million Falcons fans that are online on Facebook, according to Facebook. There had to be somebody that was going to come in here and cheer this. I mean, I knew it would be. You're the guy. Congratulations, Joe. Welcome in. Appreciate you finding us. And I'm happy for you. I really am. I think this is a mistake. I think if you wanted to go quarterback in this draft today, you shouldn't have signed Kirk Cousins. That's what it's about. Michael Penix, I was okay with quarterback. It doesn't make any sense right now to take Michael Penix when you just spent $90 million on Kirk Cousins. $90 million guaranteed. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. I guess on the positive, the Falcons go into last season with arguably the worst quarterback room in all of the NFL. And now they have 2 quarterbacks who are far and away better than either option you had last season. So I would be curious after the fact, and we talked a lot about Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot. There's no way you make this pick without Arthur Blank having heavily influence as well. So to be a fly on the wall, or what we're going to find out after the fact with Arthur Blank and what the process was here for this pick is going to be interesting. I found it pretty, I thought it was more, I even did I'm going to put on the aluminum hat here. Somebody trade up for a Penix because we're going to take him. Crazy to see it happen here though, for the Falcons. Again, I know, Scott, it's all hypotheticals, but if he ends up being a great franchise quarterback and that's how you evaluate him on your board, like, there's a chance that he was the number 1 or number 2 quarterback on your board after your process there. Now, does that mean they're going to be wrong? Possibly. Definitely possible. But pretty darn crazy. Also, shout out to anybody who bet the under on the Vegas line for Penix, because he was at 32.5 along with Bo Nix. Already 5 quarterbacks off the board. We'll probably see Bo Nix here pretty soon. I don't know. Haven't heard about the Broncos pick yet, but yeah, it's going to be interesting for the Broncos here. And yeah, sorry Atlanta fans who are upset about that. Also, we do have the Jets pick in, Scott, another offensive tackle off the board. It is Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle from Penn State.
So a defensive guy still hasn't gone.
No defensive guys.
So the idea of trading back into the 12 to 13 range to get the number 1 defensive guy makes sense, because Stephen B says maybe the Falcons really think Turner is Beasley all over again. That's fine if Dallas Turner was your only option. If he was. What about Rome Odunze? What about Brock Bowers, Quinyon Mitchell, Terrion Arnold, Byron Murphy? I could list 20 guys I would have taken in the spot before I would have taken a quarterback. The 4th quarterback in this class. There's 20 guys before I would have taken QB4, at least. Probably more than that. Probably 40 that I would have taken before that. And Chase says, just saw a clip of Arthur Blank at this year's Super Bowl talking about how to find a quarterback, and he referenced the Packers and Jordan Love. Sorry, Scott. Yeah, I talked about that a little bit earlier. I mean, just miss me with that stuff. The idea of, if I take a quarterback, he's magically going to become Jordan Love if I sit him for 3 years. That's insane. That's insanity. Jordan Love is good because he's good. Because he's a good quarterback. Michael Penix will be good in the 4th year of his career if he plays in year 1 or if he plays in year 4. He'll be better in year 4 if he plays in years 2 and 3 and gets that experience, and he's not going through those rookie growing pains. He'll be better in year 4 if he plays. So it's pretty insane. So that was 11. So the Broncos are on the clock. Draco says, and again, Chase, I get mad when people do just stupid stuff. That's what I get upset about. When Arsenal signed a player I couldn't stand from Chelsea. I was mad. He got $30 million. He was terrible. I was mad because I'm like, pay me $3 million and I'll save you from making a mistake like that. This was a bad pick on the surface. Yes, it could be good if it works out, and he could be the franchise. Yes, we can say that about every player that they will take. He could be a superstar down the road, and then it became worth it. But in the process of evaluating the draft picks and setting up your board and taking and filling your needs with the best prospects available, this is a miss. This is a miss on this draft. And if they get better than a C from anybody, I'll be shocked. I will be. Draco Mantis, he says, hey, Scott. Hey, Nick. Love watching you guys. First time commenting. Welcome in. Absolutely the worst pick possible with us spending on Cousins. I want anyone on defense. Anyone. Trade back. Trade back for my God. If you didn't like Turner, fine. Whew, there's going to be some players. There's going to be some players that they passed on that are going to be stars in this league. You better hope to God. It's like I said, it doesn't matter. By the time, if the Falcons are bad, by the time they realize if the Falcons and Kirk Cousins don't work out, Michael Penix, Terry Fontenot, this regime will be gone. It will be their legacy that we talk about. Remember how stupid that was? Goodness.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. And they have the Broncos pick. It does sound like it's going to be another quarterback here, Scott. Sounds like it's going to be Bo Nix to the Broncos here at 12. So quarterback.
Yeah, we've said that one forever. I think that's a bit of, I think that's a reach for Bo Nix, but it just that one's made sense. They have a gaping hole at the quarterback position. You've got a smart, mature, accurate quarterback who can be a robot in Sean Payton's system. Bo Nix makes sense. The odds of him going to Denver were really high. The question I would have for Denver fans is how come it was really just Denver? And if it wasn't the Broncos at 12, then he's probably going in the second round. That makes me a little nervous when you start reaching for a guy like that. But it brings hope to the Denver Broncos for sure. You see a light. Okay, this could be the guy. I have hope for next year now. I can't go into this with Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham. I have no hope then. I don't even want to watch. Greg Elrod says, could it be that Atlanta front office already knows a penalty for tampering next year is severe and they wanted a quarterback and thought they had to get him this year? Probably. No, because you probably don't take a quarterback in the first next year either with Kirk Cousins. If Kirk Cousins plays great, you're happy to pay him his third year, maybe even his fourth year. So you've got more of a runway. There's no real justification for this pick, Greg. Logical justification, other than we think this is Steve Young reincarnated. That we think everybody else is crazy and he should have been the number one overall pick. And we thought we got the best player in the draft, number one overall. And if you thought that because of where everybody else was, you never, ever, ever should have signed Kirk Cousins and cost yourself picks for tampering to boot.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So we have 6 quarterbacks off the board in the first 12 picks. That's definitely going to be a record for NFL history.
As we talked about, rules changing, quarterbacks getting older, wide receivers, quarterbacks.
Yeah, pretty wild. Pretty wild. So I probably have to hop over to the Broncos channel here, Scott, to leave you here. But we'll be live again tomorrow. What time do we want to go?
8:45 in the morning is when we will be back. We will react. My first reaction is usually pretty close, so I don't think I will simmer down much tomorrow. We'll react to the rest of the first round, and we'll get to see where some of these defensive players went, and we'll be keeping an eye on them, and we'll see if a trade happens, if Michael Penix is still an Atlanta Falcon tomorrow morning, because it still doesn't make any sense to me. I still can't wrap my head around it. So you can go ahead and go, and I will sign off. Nick, thank you very much. If you want to follow Nick, he's going to hop over to youtube.com/milehighhuddle. We will be back tomorrow morning. Nick and I are going to be on at 8:45 in the morning, react to the first round, react to the Falcons pick. We'll take a look at the day 2 things you can get. I want to talk about want to hit some of the comments on here. Joe's back. Hey, Joe. He says, plus Kirk Cousins is just a little above average quarterback. That's fine. You still gave him $90 million, and you shouldn't have signed him. If you're going to sign Kirk Cousins to $90 million guaranteed, you don't take a quarterback at 8. Again, the 2 moves don't make any sense at all. It's almost like you're saying, we effed up. before he's even thrown a ball. That's what this move made. We made a huge mistake in signing Kirk Cousins. That's what this move says. We shouldn't have signed him. Oh, we got him to keep it warm for Michael Penix so we can stink again for another 2 years because we don't think he's that great. It doesn't make any sense. A verified idiot says this was the best pick in years. A verified idiot. I think you're kind of playing a part on this one. I get that. EJ comes in. EJ, thank you for your support tonight, my friend. He said, Scott, if it isn't only Atlanta that makes questionable draft choices, I hope I'm wrong, but I have a tough time believing a guy that can barely throw it 55 yards on air in shorts can succeed in the NFL. Now he's talking about Bo Nix going to the Denver Broncos, and the pick is in. And yeah, you're going to look for a lot of crossing routes. You're going to look for some speed to try and come in and try and hit guys in motion because, you know, playing that downhill game with Bo Nix just isn't great. Now, he had some good accuracy downhill because he's playing with Oregon against non-Oregon teams. His talent was considerably better than who he was facing. The optimist in me would say that he improved in his years from when he was at Auburn. And negative, I would say, when he played against SEC defenses, he was awful. We'll see. We'll see. But I can understand this pick. In fact, I've been predicting this pick for Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos for a while now, just because it makes sense. I don't love it, but it does make sense. Mike Harvey says maybe Cousins was always the 2-year guy brought in to mentor the franchise quarterback, which is now Penix. Maybe. It's a lot of money for a mentor, though, isn't it? You know, that's a lot of money. Why not get Joe Flacco? Why not get a Jacoby Brissett? Why take the number 1 free agent and give him $90 million guaranteed when I wanted a stable pony for my franchise quarterback who's 24 years old and has multiple season-ending injuries? Doesn't make sense, does it? No, it doesn't. As Stephen B says, $90 million for a mentor. Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. If I'm dropping $90 million guaranteed on a quarterback who's 36, I need to take advantage of that, or I don't need to pay him $90 million. That's what it comes down to. To me, this pick says we screwed up already. So I don't get it. I really don't. I don't think it was a good pick in a vacuum. There were other ways I would have gone. I probably would have preferred J.J. McCarthy in that spot if you wanted quarterback. If you sign Kirk Cousins to $90 million, you do not go quarterback at 8. You just don't. On that note, y'all, I am going to get out of here. I appreciate you signing in and reacting. I really can't believe what I saw tonight. We're going to sleep on it. We're going to be back tomorrow. And I have a feeling my feelings aren't going to change a whole lot. So on that note, I'm going to get out of here. Michael says, I never wanted Kirk. That was the first bad move. Well, now you sign $90 million, and he's probably going to cost you a couple of draft choices for tampering, and then you back him with a backup quarterback. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. You really can't. Eddie says, I'm tired. I need a cup of Lion coffee and roasted Falcon. There's something to that, Eddie, for sure. Dave, appreciate you being here. I want to say thank you to all of our Super Chat superstars, and there were a bunch of you tonight in live with us tonight. Coach, John Harrell, We Sound Strange, Greg Elrod several times. Mike Harvey came in a few times. EJ, Ari, Rusty, American Radass, cool name. Mark Schrader, Quentin Caldwell. EJ was in here, Chase a couple times. Thanks to all of you. And I miss anybody? I think I got everybody that came in. I feel like I missed somebody. Keith and Ellen Johnson on the star side. Thank you. Get your Lion coffee. You're going to need some of that caffeinated bliss. Falcons should still be good next year. Just might not be as good as they could have been if they had gone with an impact player that they could actually put on the field next year. On that note, I'm going to get out of here. I will see you tomorrow morning. Enjoy the rest of the draft. Y'all have a great night. Have a good one.